Alrighty, y'all, welcome back to another video, and in this one what we're going to be doing is working on the product details page, because in the last video we built out the product catalog, but whenever you click one of these products, all you are taking to is a screen with the ID in the top left, and well, it's not the greatest user experience, I must admit. Eventually we're going to be building out something like this where we have the picture on the left, some details on the right, and you can add it and remove it from your cart. So there you go. Let's go ahead and get started. Now let's actually start by popping over in TNBOS and seeing what we got. So, well, first of all, the product details page right now is just this, where we have that one div with the ID being printed out in it. And this is TNBOS for that full version. So another thing that I want to mention is that before I even get started, whenever we were planning out our little roadmap, I have the buyer product detail page listed, and then I have some address logic, and then the add to cart button. So I'm not sure in this video if what we're going to do is we're going to build out all this logic, or just the UI and not have any of this add to cart logic, but we will see how far we get, because according to the deadline that we gave ourselves, 6 more days to tackle the rest of these 7 features. So on that note, enough talking, let's get to working. Alright, so in TNBOS right here, another thing that I'm thinking is that I don't know if we want this back button. Now the reason that I had it in TNBOS is because this is an Electron app, and of course it doesn't have it's just a desktop app. It doesn't have like a browser bar or a back button or whatever. However, since this is a web application, and all web applications nowadays, whether you're on a desktop or a laptop or a tablet or a mobile phone, whatever, they always have a back button. I'm thinking that we may not need this one right here. So yeah, let's do that. Let's keep the design minimal, and we will go without a back button. And then if it just feels weird for whatever reason, we can add it back in. But let's do that. Okay. So on that note, we have our main container. We have the back button there we're not going to have. Then we have the main content. And I believe the main content is not going to be needed either, because this was just to, yeah. So the main content is basically our parent item, and we want a grid display or a flex display with a gap of 24 between, and then we can make it responsive later on if needed. So let's do that. Alright, so for our page, we are going to display flex, since we're going to have the image on the left and the details on the right, and we'll just have a gap of 24, and that'll be our spacing in between those two elements. So now, what's next? Render left and render right. So render left is easy. The left section just has an image in it, which is the product's image. So left, and then the image. Left and then the image. Okay, let's steal these two. Alright, so left image, and then I can steal this, render left. Got a fly buzzing around my head, in case I make any weird noises suddenly. And okay, so for this product image, actually, can I get the URL from here? Where is this being hosted at? Imager. Yeah, let's just steal this for now. Alright. So eventually this is going to be coming from, the actual source in Redux or whatnot. But for right now, this is good. Oh my god, this fly is pretty annoying. I wonder if I should open my window. That's a gamble though. I might be letting more flies in. Alright, and let me get my scaffolding for this taken care of as well. So I have my left section, and I want my right section, and my right section is just all that product info. So flex auto, take up the remaining width, flex direction column, display that on top of each other. And let's do this. All right, so I'm gonna steal that right styling as well. And I'll go back to TNBOS and say render right. Price container price. All right, let's keep it nice and lean for now, then kind of build it out. All right, so for render right, all I'm gonna do is put right. All right, so render left, render right, render everything all night. I'm gonna render. Okay, a little warning, but all good. Okay, so now we're working with something. Now, first and foremost, I want to get my padding situated. So what is the padding around here? The padding around here is 24 pixels, top and bottom, 32 left and right. So let's steal you and let's see how you are looking. So you would be in my main container, and that looks not too shabby. Click here, click here. All right, we are looking all right. All right, so now let's go ahead and build out the rest of those right elements. And oh my god, this, oh, I got it. I mean, I swatted it. Like I didn't kill it, but you know, I taught it a lesson. Like it knows not to fly over here anytime soon. They have pretty short memories though, so we'll see what happens with it. All right, so we have the name first. So let's take care of these three elements. We got the name, the description, and the user label, which we're calling that. So name and description first of all. So let's do name. And then we got the description. And that's gonna come from my colors system, which I can import from here. And we don't have the exact same color system, so instead we're going secondary color for the description. And now let me just copy these, and all right. So for the product name, I'll say like wooden spoon. And then for the description, I don't know, like juicy spoon. Actually, juicy is probably the last descriptive word you would ever want to see when buying a wooden spoon. The last thing you want it to be is juicy. But, you know, for this, it's alright. Because we're just using it as sample text. Okay, wooden spoon, juicy wooden spoon. Good enough, good enough. Okay, next let's go with the account label. All of those are used. Okay, so the account label, which we are calling the user label. And when did we, wondering where it was, so we can just steal it. We did call it user label, right? Account, yeah, user label. So why didn't I find you? Did I type it wrong? Okay, user label, user label. Okay. Okay, and do we need to style you more? Yes, so let's do this. Alright, it's going to import user label, user label, user label, and then I'm going to take this too. So I want to style a component even more, and what do I want to do to it? I want to add a margin top of 16, margin top of 16, beautiful. So now that user label is going right under the description, right? Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. And we're going to say something like seller, and the name of them is going to be their username, but I'll just say Bucky for right now. And then let's see what we got. Nice, very nice, very nice. Just make sure I don't got any extra padding, margin. Sweet. Okay, and let's see what else. So after this, we have this section right here. And let me close the rest of these. All right, so that is the price container, which is probably just going to be like a bordered panel. So price container is just going to be a flex, align items with a border, justify content space between, margin top, padding. Okay, so all this we can take. Elemental P, QR. Okay, so for the colors, where's my border color? Colors.border. All right, so I got a price container. We're looking good. Now the price is what I need to put in it. And do I have that price element? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. We're looking good. Okay. So I have a price, and it is going to take a product. Okay. But I can't pass in a product yet. Unless I get the product first. Yeah, it's going to be easier this way. So I thought it would be easier just to build out the UI first, but since we're going to be needing to pass this product around and we're already plucking off details right here, then let's just do that. Okay. So I am going to say, first let me get my selector, product selector. So selectors, get products. RST and then products. So from these products, all right, so I want a memoized version of this. Also, I'm gonna run into a little issue thinking it may be undefined, which actually it may be, so that's interesting. Okay. And use memo. All right, so here what I'm going to do is pretty much use the ID that we have right here, which is going to be a product ID, to select the product from my Redux store, which should be easy because they're all keyed by ID. So use memo. And I am going to say that this is going to return, maybe I should type it out in a bit. Or maybe it can just return undefined. This is probably, okay. Return products with that ID. Yeah, and this ID could possibly be undefined. So I'll say if no ID, oops, come on. If no ID return null, that's gonna, okay. So if no ID return null, or if it's an ID, so hopefully it's just a regular number and the product is already in the store. And it's just going to go ahead and return that. Oh my, this fly. Okay. Now, if you don't have a product, then just go ahead and return null as well. And then let me actually type this out. So I want this memorize function to return product or null. Do you do that? Yes, it's looking like it. So now what I can do is let's actually find out. Alright, so when rendering left and right, if you don't have any product, return null. And in the case you are going to have a product at this point, we're just going to do product.image. And for product name and description, it's a little bit of the same. So name here, description here. And then this is the product seller's username. Alright, let's see if anything broke so far. Great. Wooden Spoon, Beautiful Wooden Spoon by Bucky. Bacon Nice and Juicy by Amy, looking good. Alright, fascinating book about mushrooms. Yes, it is. Okay. So now what we can do is we can render that price logic. And by the way, I just want to test this out where I do have a valid ID and it's just not any of the products in the store and I just get an empty state, which I can update to give a little bit more clear indication what's going on, but for right now it's good. So these are my products in the store. Let's go with Wooden Spoon right now, since this is kind of the pinnacle of this tutorial to sell this wooden spoon to one of you out there. So next up, let's go ahead and tackle the price logic. Okay. So get rid of you, and now get rid of you. Okay. So in the price container, which we do not have rendered yet, but we do have this, we are going to be rendering the price. Okay. When am I using you? Did I not even use this price component anywhere yet? Components. Price index. Come on, we built it. Oh, I was probably using it in a, yeah. Alright, so import price from my component library, and then in my price container, just render price, and the product is the product that we have it at this point. Alright, 2600 for the spoon, 2200 for the book. Bacon looking good. Okay, next we just have to render this button. So this button's either going to say add to cart or remove from cart, depending on if it's in your cart or not. So for that logic, what we can do is let's first take a look at this render cart button. Alright, so there's a boolean that we calculate to say if it's in the cart or not. And we are not going to be able to have the actual logic for this yet, but we can just make a temporary variable. Now, if it's in, then this is the button you want to render. If it's not, that's the button. Okay. Alright. That's easy enough. Okay. So, let's first import our button. So import button. Nope, don't need it. Here we go. Alright, so since we're going to need a button, gonna need to import a button. And then we are going to, what did we call it here? Render cart button. Alright, so for render cart button, we have this constant is in cart. And for right now, we're just going to set it equal to a boolean. All right, so this is going to be eventually we need to update this to have actual logic to determine if it's in the cart or not. But for now, we can just use it as part of this render cart button to decide which one to render, so we can test things out. So in our price container, in that little panel, we're going to have price on the left and then the cart button on the right. Now if it is in the cart, then it's going to render a button to remove it, and if it's not in the cart, you can add it. So let's build out these handlers as well. So handle remove from cart, click. Okay, so let's just go ahead and make this nice and easy. So toast type. So we're going to be displaying a toast message, so get those utils, and then enum. Okay. All right, so for now, let me just make sure of something. Toast type. Okay. So for the render cart button, add to cart, click. Add to cart, click, and that is product added to cart. And these don't need to be template strings. Oh wait, so for remove, it is product removed from cart. Okay, so this should be working, quote unquote, just in a really dumb way. So let's see what's going on. Okay, so I have it hard coded in where the product is in my cart. Now, because of that, I have this remove from cart button, and when I click on it, it should just say product removed, wow, to cart. That's embarrassing. Product removed from cart. Okay. Now, if I say it's not in the cart, then whenever I go here, it should say add to cart, and then you click it, it adds it to the cart, and it says product added to cart. All right. So that is the functionality that we want, so far at least. Of course, a lot to do from here. First of all, this cart number, and basically all their cart logic is just dummy logic right now. It's not actually hitting our back end or anything. So let's do that next. Actually, let's check our little blueprint. Okay. Buyer product detail, and then we have the buyer add to cart button separate. So maybe we will do this. The buyer detail page is, well, basically styled. There's not much to it. Got a little responsive behavior, looking good for right now. Of course, some updates later on, but it's looking all right. So the buyer product detail page, I almost want to say this is done right now. My addresses, create an address, and then what we can do once we have that is go and work on the add cart logic. But I'm also thinking if we just want to do this now. So let's go ahead and take a look at our back end for this. So we have, so what we're basically going to be doing is creating cart products. Yeah. Okay, so a cart product is just a product in your cart, and then when you click this button, you're basically just adding and deleting cart products. And I believe we don't even have, yeah, there's not even an, okay. So on the back end, we don't have any update functionality. We just have create. However, we may need to add it later on, because even though with this right here, when we can, or let me show you right here. Basically, we can add or delete the item from our cart right here. Eventually, we're going to need to handle quantities, meaning that whenever you go to checkout, if, like, you can say, I want one of these, which would probably be the default, or you can order 10 of them if there are 10 available. But for right now, we're just going to keep it nice and simple and keep this add and remove. Just wondering if how I'm going to tackle this. Okay. So yeah, we won't even pass the quantity in, or maybe we'll just do 1 by default. Although in the back end, we're already checking for it. You know what we'll do? We'll just do everything with a quantity of 1 on the UI for now. And then once that is working, we'll go back and kind of build out the quantity logic. Okay. So I'm also thinking now how we're going to structure this on the front end. So maybe we just build this into Redux. And all right. So yeah, let's follow our roadmap actually. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of start on my addresses. Actually, let's just go ahead and work on this cart logic, and then we have something going on. Okay. So this cart product is what we're going to need to store in Redux. So let's do this. Let's get our old friend Postman out so we can see the shape of everything. Alright, so first I'm going to log in, and then what I'm going to do is add a cart product to my cart. So first let's do this. Pop open Django admin. Alright, so no products in anyone's cart. And then what I'm going to do with my authentication token is I'm going to use this to add a cart product. And the endpoint for cart products was indeed cart products. Let me just send it with an error and see what we get. Okay. So for the quantity, we're going to do 1. And for the product, what we can do is this. So what product would I want to add to my cart? Well, I am Bucky in this situation, so this bacon I want to add, and that is product 11. Unsupported media type and request, and that is, we can just go raw actually. Okay. Alright, so for this, we can just do quantity of 1 and product of 11. Okay, and this is the response that I get back. So basically, that serialized product, which we need, in this information. You're the buyer, the quantity, all the seller stuff is nested. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So now take this, move it over to ChatGPT and say, create a TypeScript interface for that. And then while that's doing that thing, let's go ahead and, yeah, it's going to be a while before we get back to here. So, okay. So in our types, let me just look at products right now. So product is going to have activation status, ID seller, and that's a user read serializer. Yeah, this is what it's going to come back as. Create modified item. Okay. So on this note, what I'm going to do first is start typing out my cart products, since we're essentially going to be storing these in Redux. So let's just go ahead and get started. Now the naming convention for these files is cart products. All right. So a cart product and that is from product. All right. Holy moly, sweet ravioli. Okay. So a cart product is going to extend created and modified. And then it's also going to have an ID. And then where's dict coming from? All right, so let's hop over to ChatGPT again. What's going on here? Order. What are you talking about? Order. What? Okay. I think I'm not going to take ChatGPT's advice on this one. All right. So anyways, for a cart product, we have, it basically inherits from created and modified, which we did. And it also has an ID, which we gave it. And then a quantity and buyer are also number. So quantity and buyer are also a number. All right, that's gonna be my structure, cart product stored by ID. And then last but not least, we have a product, and this is just going to be a product. All right, so basically a cart product has a created and modified date, a buyer, ID, product, quantity. So 6 different ones. And that's right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are dates, product, serialized, good to go. Okay. And now this is a cart product, and then we're going to store it in Redux, keying everything by this ID. So now we just need to kind of patch everything together. All right, so cart products after blocks. Cart products, and that would be cart products, and let's see what design pattern. Okay. So in our store, we're going to create a new slice here called cart products. And before we get to this, we're going to need to add a new constant for cart products. Cart products. Cart products. Okay. Now in our store, where are we going to take this from? Maybe wallets. All right, so what are we going to do to it? Actually, maybe cores. Yeah. Because the functionality that we're going to have is to be able to create a cart product. We're going to fetch them. In that case, we are going to set multiple ones at once and also unset when we delete a cart product. So basically, I can just steal this and then update it accordingly. Okay. So for this cart product slice, instead of cores, it's going to be cart product. Instead of core, it's going to be cart product. Now let's see where this gets us. All right. Let's see what we're working with here. So we are going to be creating a cart product slice, and the constant this is going to be keyed under on the back end is just cart products. Cart products. And yeah, this constant is also whenever Redux Toolkit like self-generates these action names, then that's when this constant's used. A couple of different things kind of internally. Initial state is just an empty dict, and then when we create the slice, it's going to have whatever initial state we give it, which is empty dicts, so nothing. Cart product, we're going to set a cart product by passing in a cart product object, and then it's just going to key it by its ID. When you set multiple cart products at once, for example, whenever you are fetching this page, you're going to get all your cart products, set them all at once. Then you pass in a list of cart products from the back end, and that just iterates through them, reduces them, keys them all by ID. And then when you're unsetting them, you just pass in the ID and it'll delete it. And that's good. Cart product actions. Okay. So now we just need to go ahead and save this. Register it with our main store. So the cart products are going to be stored under the key cart products, and for that the value is the cart product reducer that we just created. Okay, looking good. Now after here, we're going to go ahead and make a selector function just so we can pull that data from our store. And for this, we will say when we call the function get cart products, then we want you to give us the data in state cart products. And that's our selector function. And now, if all went well, we should have cart products in here. Beautiful. All right. So now the next thing we need to do is we need to kind of write our API and dispatcher logic. So whenever we click this, what it's going to do is it's going to basically make the equivalent of this request where you're creating a cart product. And we'll just set the default quantity to 1 for now. Yeah. And then we're also, after this data comes back from the back end, we got to dispatch it to our store so our front end is synced up with our back end. Okay. So that's going to be quite the task. Not really, but let me sip on some coffee first. For anyone out there, are you coffee drinkers or energy drinkers or just caffeine free? Yeah, let me know. I want to try some new drinks. Okay, where were we? Come on, Bucky. Let's not get distracted here. This caffeine mumbo jumbo. All right, so let's first go to, well, we can just boot out our API. So we are going to be building our cart products. A new cart products Typescript file, and is pretty much going to be the same as the cores, right? Yeah, not even. But we can definitely use this. Actually, not quite, because cores, yeah, this one's going to be better. Because cores uses form data, because, well, I can show you right now. So the reason that cores use form data is because they have an image right here, and whenever you're working with image, you need form data. However, what we are doing is we are not using any image. We're just adding and removing products from our cart. So that is why I don't want to steal it from cart. Instead, I want to steal this logic from wallet. But that has some tricky stuff too. And also, this is interesting. So I typed out this request data. Okay. This is interesting. I kind of like it. Create wallet response or request. Okay, let's do this. So I am going to type out the request shape as well. All right, create cart product. All right, so the request data for create cart product request, what is it? So it's going to be a quantity, which is going to be a number, and it's going to be a product ID, which is also going to be a number. And then that is looking good. Now I just need to import that in my main types. Actually, let me separate my API endpoints like this. Yeah, that looks a little bit easier to read. Okay. Readability it is key. Cart products, and I'll say cart. Create cart product request. All right, should have everything typed now. And now maybe it's easier if I just do this kind of one by one. All right. So wallets, where are you at? Let me steal this too. All right, so first of all, what I want to do is I need to replace this base endpoint with that. Create wallet request. Okay. So create cart product. All right, so for this I am using create cart product, and the data that I'm going to be passing in is this data right here, the create cart product request, which is a product ID and a quantity, and then I'm going to be getting back a cart product object, and I am just making a post request, getting back a cart product with the data that I passed in, and my authorization headers are my regular ones without the form data. So that's good. And with the response data, take care of that later on. But now I am, oh, you can't delete. Actually, we can borrow this from cores. So to delete cores and get cores. Yeah. And then we won't be doing any updating for now, so we'll build that later. Don't want any dead code. Okay. So this is my crate, and then instead of core, I'm just gonna do cart product. And okay, let me see what I'm working with here. Alright, so create cart product is how we want it. Now when you delete a cart product, all you need to do is you need to give the endpoint an ID, and it's not going to return anything because there's no data to return after you deleted the object. And then it's just going to delete it with our headers to know that we're authorized. That's good. Now for getting cart products, you're just going to hit the endpoint. It's going to return a list of cart products. Return a list of cart products. And yeah, should be good. Alright, so those are API functions. Now, just need to make our dispatchers. So this is pretty much our connection to our API, but with our dispatchers, this is the part that uses these to actually make the requests and then store them in Redux. Alright, so dispatchers, new Typescript file, cart products, and alright. And let's borrow from, let's do the same thing, where we are going to okay. Let me throw in the ChatGPT, see if it could redeem itself from last time. So here's my dispatcher. Actually, let's get a new chat. Hopefully it forgot about that other chat. Here is my coding standard. Write dispatcher for cart products. And then I'll give it these cart products. So far so good. Set, unset from my store cart products. Great. Crate, delete, git. Yeah. It looks correct to me. So let me copy this. Alright, ChatGPT, it appears you redeemed yourself. And create cart product request. This I can just import from types. App dispatch. And this is in cart products. Alright. So for this, all of these should be used now. Okay. So you're importing all of these API functions, renaming them. And then you have a set cart products, and unset from cart products. Set, unset. And then you are creating cart products. The same data that you passed in, create cart product request. Then deleting it, you're just taking an ID, dispatching it, and then to get them, you're getting it and setting those. Okay, I think we are good to start hooking this up. All right. So now that we have our dispatcher functions, let's go back. Actually, what I'm thinking is we can probably do this. So of course we're going to need to make this logic actually work. When you hit add to cart, it actually creates a new cart product. And then once we have that, I'm thinking just the order of operations. We also need to update this little indicator. Right now this is just hard coded in to say 12, but of course we want it to reflect the number of items we have in the cart, but I think first I'm just gonna make this button work. So let's go ahead and do add to cart. Find that. All right. Now back in TNBOS, let's do add to cart first. Or maybe, yeah, is in cart. Okay, let's do that. So what we can do is actually build the is in cart logic first. And the reason I want to do that is because that determines whether we need the add or cart or remove from cart button. So for that, I'm gonna need a little bit more coffee, of course. That's some good coffee, baby. Okay. So the next question becomes, how do we determine if a product is in your cart or not? Well, what we can do is we can look at the cart slice, and the cart slice is going to have a bunch of these cart items, but nested within them all are the products. And from those products, we can pluck off the ID of each, and then we'll have a set of IDs. And then with those, we can just check if the ID that you're on is in basically your cart products, more or less. So let's do that. So we need products and cart products. So get products, which we already have, and then cart products. So get cart products. All right, so all right. So is in cart, this is going to be a memorize function, and this is going to return a boolean. It's going to return a boolean, which we don't need to type out. All right, so is in cart. So what we can do first is get the product ID. So const all right, so the object values of cart products are all of your cart products. Now from here, what we're going to do is we're going to map over each one and just, actually I forgot some braces there. All right, so what we can do is we can map over each of the cart products and get the product and just extract the ID from the product. Okay. And then what we can do is we can say return product IDs includes the ID of the product you're on. Okay. And it's giving me a little issue because this ID can be undefined. So if no ID, return false. String. Oh, that's interesting. So this param must be a string. Yep. Okay. So even if what it's saying is that even though it looks in the URL like this 14 is an integer, whenever we're plucking it from params, it just treats all of these as a string. So in that case, what we can do is we can just parse it to an integer. I'll say parse int ID 10. And let me just find where else I'm doing this. Okay. Actually don't really like how this is, it's good enough. Okay. So if it's in my cart, then that logic should be working. We can test that later on. We also probably want to make this a set instead of a list, but let's use memo, whatever. Now, if all the product IDs includes the one that you're on, then it's in your cart. If not, okay. Now, handle add to cart click. Let me just look what I did in TNBOS. Okay, some warnings here. Okay. So we'll talk about those in just a bit, but for right now, we'll kind of just do it the hard way. So this is going to be an async request, as is removing it. And I also want to put it in a try catch. So let's steal one of those with some toast. I like toast. I like toast. Okay, so basically this logic. So what we are going to do when adding to cart is we are going to try to dispatch, which is going to come from use dispatch, which is going to come from React Redux. And then we need to dispatch something to the store, basically add info to the store. And then instead of get products, error adding product to cart. Alright, so what do we want to do? We are trying to create a cart product, and this is going to come from dispatcher's cart products. So we are going to import create cart product from dispatcher's cart products. And then whenever we handle add to cart click, we're going to kick off this dispatch function, and this dispatch function is going to take create cart product data, which is going to be a product and a quantity. So the quantity we can just hard code in 1 for now, and the product is going to be this right here. And that's not pretty, so let me do this. Alright, so this is our request data. And this is saying as well that what if you don't have an ID, and just say if no ID return. Alright, so whenever you click add to cart click, or excuse me, whenever you click the add to cart button, then what it's going to do is it's going to pretty much create that request from the product ID, from the params, quantity 1 by default, change that later on, and then dispatch it to the backend and store it in your store. And it's going to say product added to cart. If not, if something goes wrong, we're going to get an error message that says this. So let's see where we are at. Can we add this? Actually, let me look at my network request. So add to cart 400, great. You cannot add from different sellers. Okay, so apparently I already had something in my cart. Oh, that's right. Because, okay, so a couple of different things are going on here. First of all, I already had this product in my cart from Amy when we were testing things around. So actually, let me do that. Also, good error message. This is the why clear error messages are key, helps the front end to debug. So hopefully when I refresh this, okay, even though this says 12, I shouldn't have any items in my cart. And now when I hit add to cart, all right, looking good. So first of all, let's see if it worked on the back end. Yep. I have a cart product where I'm the buyer for, and it says bacon quantity 1. That looks good. And now, ooh, I even have this removed from cart button. That's pretty cool. And then let's see, let's just make sure that yes, in my Redux store, I now have this cart product, which was cart product ID 22. Looking good, looking good. All right, now when I hit remove, nothing should happen, but let's fix that in just a second. Okay. So to remove from cart, let's just steal all of this. And all right. So the goal is to remove it from cart and get this success message. Now we're not going to need any request data. Error removing product from cart is going to be the error message. And then for create cart product, we are going to want to do delete cart product. So let's import that as well. And when we delete cart product, instead of that request data, we just need to pass in the ID. And this, of course, needs to be a string as well. Or excuse me, an integer. Okay, and for the cart product. All right, cool. So hopefully this should work. Let me just read through this one more time. So try to make a request and store it in the store that you're deleting this cart product. And then after, say product removed from cart. Otherwise, show this error removing product from cart. Okay. So this product is indeed in the cart already, as we can see. Now whenever I hit remove, okay, detail not found. Okay, so I think I know what I was doing. Yeah, okay. So what I'm doing incorrectly is whenever I'm deleting this cart product, this is interesting. So whenever you add a cart product, you basically need to pass in the product ID. However, the response you get back is basically a cart product object, and nested within that is the product object. And you see, in this case, what I was doing is instead of passing in the cart product ID when I am trying to delete it, I'm accidentally passing in the product ID. So I just need to pass in the cart product ID. So what I can do is this. I think I can update this logic right here to say is in cart. Instead, what I can do is I can look for a cart product. And let me figure out where this is. So I'm using this is in cart just to determine that button. Okay. But instead, I just want to say I want another memorize function, and all this is going to do is it's going to return either a cart product or null. And then let me import this from my types. Okay. So I'll say if no ID, return false. That checks out fine. And then what I want to do is I'm just going to return object values find where the product ID can optimize this later, but okay. Object values cart product. Type undefined. Or null. Okay, so here with find, it's going to return undefined, but I want to return null. Do I want to change the shape of this? Actually, let's just do this. And then here, what we can do is return undefined. Undefined. And we can just return this. All right. Okay, so is in cart can be replaced by cart product. All right. So if I do double ampersand and say if you have a cart product, then remove from cart. Otherwise, if you don't have a cart product, just say add to cart. Now this should give me my cart product or undefined. So whenever I am deleting it, I can say if you don't have a cart product, don't do anything. Otherwise, what you can do is you can delete the cart product just using the cart product ID. And this should work. So let's figure it out. All right, so refresh this page. And first of all, let me just make sure again. Okay, so this cart product with ID 22 is in my cart. And if I remove it, it says, yes, yes, yes. This is great. Okay, so I'm gonna delete cart product 22. And also for my store, I don't have any cart products in there. Now what I can do is I can add it to cart again. And when I do, it adds it, and the payload is product 11, which is right, quantity of 1. And then in my Redux store, it just adds it to the cart under the new ID with the product nested. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay. So that is looking good. I can remove items from my cart. I can add items from my cart. Add to, remove from, okay. Now, a couple different things that I want to do. Okay, one thing that I want to do is this. Well, let me just review this real quick. Dispatchers enums. STU. Product looking good. Looking good, looking good, looking good. Okay, so maybe some optimizations we can take care of later, but for now, don't need to worry about that. Okay, so some other things I want to do is this. Whenever, and I also want to ask about the user experience. What do you guys think about this? So I already have it where, let's say that Amy is selling Amy's selling bacon for VTX, and even though I'm selling this, let's just pretend that Amy is selling this wooden spoon for TNB. Now it's perfectly valid is whenever we go to the checkout, if we have products in there from two different currencies, as long as they're from the same seller, it's going to be fine, because you're just placing one order, you're getting it sent to one location, which is your address, and it's just like a deal between two people. You just paying two currencies, nothing really overly complex about that. Now, what we are not allowing for the time being is, let's say that you want to buy one item from Amy and another one from Bob. So in that case, whenever you go to checkout, you are going to have products in here from two different sellers. And that's just going to get pretty confusing, not only from the UI wise, because it's like, are you using the same address? Are you using two different addresses? So on and so forth. But then even from your orders, it's like, yeah, we could automatically split them up. So maybe you go and place order and then you end up with two different orders because we split them up among sellers. But for right now, I just want to keep the logic very simple and say that you're only allowed to place an order if all the products are from the same seller. So that said, we need to kind of communicate that on the UI. Again, I don't know if this is going to be the logic that we're definitely going to stick with going forward. But for right now, we're just going to, we're building out MVP, keeping things simple. So in that case, what I did is in TNVOS is whenever you're attempting to add items to the cart, I say that if the cart seller, well, let me see, if there is a cart seller. Okay, so this cart seller is basically going to give you the seller of the products that you have in your cart. Now, if it doesn't match the seller of the new product you're trying to add, then you're just going to get a little warning. And this is just going to say something like, what was it? Well, I forgot where it was, but it's basically going to say like, hey, you're trying to add products to your cart and they're from two different sellers and we don't allow that. So we're eventually going to need this modal. So say throw a warning modal when the user tries to add. Yeah, let's do that. Or I'll say display a warning modal when the user attempts to add products from multiple sellers to their cart. Again, this is likely going to be something that we're going to change in the future to give them a little bit more flexibility, but for right now, nice and simple. And then another thing that we need to do is this. So this number 12 is going to be updated to reflect how many items you have in your cart. And we can do that right now. All right. So let's do that right now. That's going to be the easy part. So that would be in our pages, our shop, and was it our layout top toolbar. Let's see what's going on here. So it's on the right, render menu items, and that is our buy menu items. And right here, so we have product count, and we can name this to cart product count actually. So cart product count. Okay, outline. Okay, and let me actually make this a separate render cart product count, since we're going to have a bit of logic in here. Alright, so render cart product count. First, let's just make sure nothing broke. And then let me just change this to something else just to make sure. Okay. So what we want to do is we only want to render this if there is a cart product count, first of all. So, and another thing is we're going to have to get, okay. So basically we're going to get all the products in our cart and then just get the, how many there are. So for selector state, products. And do I even, yeah, let's go ahead and memoize this. This memo is going to come from React. Even though it's not a very heavy operation, all we're doing is kind of getting the length of how many cart products we have. I do think it'll be a little bit more performant. So we can say cart product count. And I will say return the length of their cart products. So return a number. All right. So this is going to return a number. How many cart products do you have? And for this bubble, we're just going to say if you don't have any cart products, then just return null, because we don't want to render the bubble at all. Another thing that we could do is we could just render it with a 0 in it, but that's kind of weird. Otherwise, just show me how many you got. And let's see how we're looking here. Okay, so we have one item in our cart right now, and let's actually delete that. All right. So I'm going to refresh this, and we have this in our wallet incorrectly. So that's another issue we have, but let's just do this. So I'm going to log out, log back in. Okay. Kind of just get a fresh state here. This is interesting too. So all right, so it seems like we have a little bit more work here than we anticipated. Basically, we forgot to fetch the products whenever we go to the product catalog. So before we can actually test adding items, we probably want to do that. Not the product details, so that's the by catalog page. Okay, whenever we go to the, forgot this logic. So whenever we go to the product catalog page, what we want to do is we want to just fetch our updated products, and we can do that with get products right here. And apparently I'm using it somewhere already. But where? Oh, in my sell products. Okay. It's going to be easy then. All right, so I am going to want to use the same logic, but for the buyer's catalog. So dispatch products. And what else am I going to need? Dispatch, get products, display error toast. So dispatch, first of all, which is going to come from React Redux. So let's just do this. Display error toast, utils toast tu. Okay. So now what I can do is I can say that whenever we go to the product catalog page, then we are just going to fetch the products. And okay. So let me just test it from the beginning, log out, purge all my state, log back in, go to the shop app, and it fetches all of those products and then sets them right there. Now from here, we don't have any products in our cart, which is good. Just verify that. Beautiful. So no bubble appears right here. However, now I'm shopping and ooh, I'm feeling hungry right now. I want to buy this bacon, add it to the cart. Product adds to the cart. We got a cart product in here, and check it out. We now have this little bubble that says 1 because there is one item in our cart. Now hopefully when I remove that, the bubble should disappear, and we are looking good. And actually, is this all right? You know what? Even though I have this buyer add to cart button and it appears things are working right now, I'm not going to cross this off of the checklist for now. And the reason is because we still have this to do, which is, I forgot where it was, but on the product details page, we said that if, okay, so right now I have one item in my cart from Amy, and then what we can do is we can go in here and we can try to add another item to the cart, and right here we're going to get an error that says error item product to the cart. However, the error is because I cannot add products from different sellers to my cart. However, in this case, we have a little issue because the information that's being communicated to the user, which is going to just look like this, it doesn't reflect a clear enough error message to let them know what's happening. So instead, we want to spin up a modal and it says, hey, you shouldn't be adding, kind of just telling them what's up. We'll phrase it later on, but that's what we're going to do. Now, on that note, I think we're good for this coding session. Yeah, actually made a lot of progress. And I'm going to go ahead and push this video up just because I don't know if it's going to be too long if I keep recording it. But in the next video, what we'll do is we'll get started on the address logic. And then once we have this built out, we'll finish up this logic to handle this error message in a more appropriate way, better UX. And then from there, we get to the really fun stuff, which is the checkout page and the buyer and seller orders. And this kind of wraps it out. So yeah, lots of fun stuff to do. Deadline 6 days away. I'm feeling confident. About it. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see y'all next time.